you know who I was, so.
The very right reverend.
Yep.
Okay, my name's Roy Koningsberg. I'm the board chair for Grace. And thank you for being here for this important discussion, but we're going to lead off with a prayer from Pastor Matt.
Holy Spirit, you are in this place and you are with us. And that is a promise that is never broken, that you are here and that you are with us. And so as we come to this time and this space to truly share the rawness, the realness of where we are, and to listen deeply to one another, we ask that your wisdom be fully present in this space. That your wisdom guides our listening, your wisdom guides our sharing, your wisdom guides our ability to sit in what is uncomfortable and to still choose loving words and loving gestures. Because we are your body. We are the body of Christ. And so help us be that body more fully, more real in this tender space. Amen.
Amen.
Well, the purpose of today's town hall is to share your thoughts about our current financial crisis. A letter shared in an email and a physical mailing, and one that there's a copy on your table now as well. The situation was explained, and in case you didn't receive it or have had a chance to read it, I'll give you a quick recap. We started the year with a budget deficit, or a budget that was $21,000 in the red. And unfortunately, that deficit has doubled to $42,000 for 2025. The monthly shortfall is ranging between $4,000 and $6,000. Our savings account has gone from $36,000 to $14,000 presently. Reasons include the income being lower than forecast, expenses are over budget, significant memorial gifts have just not occurred, which is something that has helped bridge the gap in the past. We had a transparent meeting with Spirit of Truth Church about our circumstances. They made an offer to purchase the building as a lease to own and would essentially flip the roles. We would rent from them. Due to the trust clause inherent in every local Methodist church, we consulted with the cabinet of our conference. They responded that they did not want to move in that direction at this time. The conference superintendent is here today as well to help answer questions as we move along. In our current situation, we really cannot afford a full-time pastor. And we'll frankly have trouble fulfilling the commitment to Amanda through next June. As we begin our stewardship campaign, we need significant increases or new givers just to maintain through that point and help with a potential transition to a part-time pastor. There are some ideas out there, some were mentioned in the letter, that could lead to some long-term stability. They aren't quick fixes, however, for the immediate financial straits. So that's a recap of the letter, and then Pastor Amanda is going to say something.
Thank you, Roy. So hopefully that what Roy shared gets us all on the same page regarding what our circumstance is. And I know most of you in this room have already been processing this information, but for some of you this might all just be new, right out of the gate. So thank you for making the choice in receiving that information right out of the gate to still be here with us in this conversation. But before we get to the actual point where we ask our curiosity questions, I think it can be helpful and powerful to name what we're feeling right now, just as an act of transparency. Because the thing that we love about the God we serve and follow is that we're allowed to show up authentically in who we are and the rawness in who we are, okay? Especially in circumstances like these droughts, right? Just like the widow. She had some snappy things to say back to Elijah and to Elijah's God. So a couple of minutes here. I want to give you time to just name the word that you're feeling, or better yet, I'm going to challenge you. Where in your body are you feeling that? So we're going to take some time to reflect, so some quiet time to just sink into your body. We don't like to be in our bodies sometimes because we just don't do it on a daily basis. But we follow an embodied God. So our bodies hold our emotions. And this is an act of being aware of where your emotions are being held right now in your body, as well as to be able to say the word of what you think your emotion is. Whether that's anger, whether it's confused. I mean, you let the word bubble up in you. Like, be present to that. Be present to your feelings. And then I'm going to make 2 columns here. Where in your body are you feeling it? Maybe it's your feet. Maybe your feet are tingling right now. Maybe your heart feels like it's constricted. Maybe you feel numb. You're just numb. There's no wrong answer because it's your body and it's what you're feeling. So let's go for a minute just to sit with yourself. It's okay. You're safe. This is a safe place. Just sit and acknowledge where you're at. What emotion are you feeling? And where in your body are you feeling it? Oh, you want to jump right in, Judy? Yeah, let's go.
Fear in my gut.
Your gut. Okay, so fear. You're feeling it in your gut. Thank you. Marlis.
Twofold.
Yep.
Sadness in my heart.
Okay, so, oops, I'm not spelling today. Sadness, and I'll just do this. Heart. Okay.
And very angry
Anger, okay,
in my mind.
in your mind.
Confused in my head.
Yeah, Carol.
I think sadness in my heart because of the many memories from 20, 30 years in the church. Our kids and our grandkids kind of were all part of that.
Avera.
Oh. And shoulders.
Shoulders.
picked anxiety for chest.
James?
In my heart, what this person meant to me, what it meant to me 4.5 years ago, and getting through the worst time in my life.
And what emotion would you put on your heart right now? What is it feeling?
Let's say, trust,
Stress. Yeah, Melissa?
Pain in my head.
Pain in your head. Yeah,
Challenge.
challenged. Do you feel that in any particular part of your body?
Math majors in my brain.
In your brain? Yeah. So I like that brain, yep. Karen?
Angry.
Angry.
Because it's a numbers up there. Angry.
And do you feel it any particular part of your body right now?
All over.
All over. Okay. It's an all body experience for you. Okay. Yeah.
Frustration, and it's not just for our church, it's in my heart, my spirit. And I'm frustrated that so many small churches are feeling the same thing we are.
Ditto on that one. That's times two.
Okay. Can I just do that?
Yep.
Do a times two? Okay. That's a times two from Joel. Chris?
Guilt.
Guilt. And where do you feel that? All body experience.
Pretty much.
Grief. Grief. And where do you feel that?
In my soul.
Soul. This is who we are right now. We're human. And it's okay to be human right now. Unfortunately, when we come to these moments where we do feel everything's uncertain, we want answers immediately, and that's also human. But if we don't take time to name where we are, it gets more difficult to know the way forward. So I want us to be mindful as we go through the rest of this time together that God's got you right now. God is holding all of these spaces of our heart, the spaces of our guts, these spaces of our chest and our head and our brain, right? Because we follow that embodied God, right? Who knew what it meant to be human, who knew what it meant to hurt and have fear and anger and sadness, and to feel it in his gut and his heart and his mind and his brain and his chest and his whole body as he was crucified on a cross, right? And that cross, out of that cross came life. But we can't rush to that yet. So that's why I wanted us to take some time to just be present with who we are and where we are. Knowing that God's holding us, okay? God is holding us. And we're holding one another as a church community. That's the beauty of being the body of Christ. We're not alone in our grief and our sadness and our anger, and we're not alone in how we feel it in our bodies. We might feel it in different places, but we're all feeling it. So, if you need to take a step back, if you get overwhelmed by fear or your anger or your grief and you just feel in the moment you want to explode, I'm going to ask that you either take a step outside and just breathe. Just find that space to breathe, to come back into your body, so that you can come back into this space where we can continue the conversation together in love, okay? We want this to be constructive for you all. We really do. So with that said, we're gonna transition now, and we're gonna keep this up here, because don't forget, this is what you're feeling and where you're feeling it. We're gonna transition now into being able to ask anxiety and pain, and that we're feeling it in our head and our gut. Now we can ask the questions because we're present with ourselves. Yeah.
The conference doesn't want to go the way of us selling to the Spirit of Truth. What are some of their reasons for that? Can anyone say?
Yeah, so we're going to get to that, and Roy, I think we'll head in that direction, but I think what we need to do first is provide some more information of the financials, right, so that we're all clear about where we actually are now. And Bill, hold on to that question, because Michelle is here, and she will have some time to be able to speak to that question. But where's Doris? There she is. Doris, do you want to just lead us in giving that overview of what in this moment now, our financial circumstance is? And everybody should have a copy of our financials in front of them.
As far as the income and expenses are concerned, I think Roy pretty much set it off. It hasn't changed from August through September. So this report is for our admin board meeting tomorrow night. And it goes through our September report. While, if I go through the whole statement, we can say that our income is $5,301 less than budgeted. However, when you take into consideration that part of that money is the second blessing for the pianos, one-time giving, that changes that number, tremendously. Also, our expenses, none of them have really changed from what Rory had announced to you. We still, through September, are at $42,474 off budget. Doing what we can do, we looked into a loan, which we were not able to get. Looking into changing insurance companies to lower our insurance costs. We had a 37% increase this year. That was not anticipated. So in the meantime, I've been transferring dollars back and forth in the checking account, watching the account, watching the bank account, deciding which bills I mail out, which bills I'm holding, etc. And I've been doing that for 2 months now, here and here. I am going to transfer $10,500 of the second blessing money into the savings account, on hold, untouchable, because that is the dollar amounts going forward to pay for the pianist through 8/27. And if we try to fill it in and use that money now, we're not going to have it down the road. So that is my intention, but please feel free to, state your consideration, your thoughts. I have spoken to my husband, and he has agreed to start changing the filters in the HVAC units. And we would do away with the quarterly HVAC maintenance program. Dale Osborne talked to me about that. So I asked him, he said yes, he would do it if he could get a couple of younger people from the church to accompany him to do it, that he could teach how to do it, to to take over doing it. He's 76, so he's not gonna be able to do it forever. And that's why he's like, I can do it, but I'm gonna need a couple younger members of the congregation to be interested enough to learn how to do it, because I can't keep doing it forever. So that would save us $5,000 annually in the budget. That's what it's costing us right now to have quarterly maintenance come in with an HVAC company. So that's a consideration for everyone to consider. If any of the younger guys are interested in it, let me know. Women, if that's your thing, could also do it, but, and unless you have questions, that's pretty much it. Yes, Valerie?
The church mortgage payment shows zero paid.
We don't have a church mortgage.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's right.
We do have a loan right now, but it's the loan that we got for the HVAC unit replacement. Yeah.
So it's not considered a mortgage. So that loan.
That payment is on the very last page, and only the interest shows up because the principal portion is reducing the principal balance sheet. At the very last line. That's the interest.
Or maybe it's all payments.
We are.
I was thinking that was our mortgage.
No,
Getting a pass on those.
we are making those payments.
And then apportionments.
Apportionments, we have not made any payments.
Well, I just wanted to say, just let me know where and when, I'll help you.
Oh, okay, I will let him know.
Sign me up.
Okay.
I think Corinne would like to learn about the HVAC filters.
Okay, I'll let you know as well. I might need your phone number after the meeting. I think I have yours. See, Sarah's.
Yeah, either one.
Any
Any
other
questions?
questions? Good.
I'm around if you have any, you can holler anytime.
Giving units this year compared to last year,
I'm sorry?
number of giving units?
That's a James question. James, how many giving units do we have this year versus last year?
Well, this last statement that I did was 68 giving units. Last year, don't know the top of my head, but
Was more or less?
I think probably a few less.
There's a few less, so we have more in the current cycle.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think like 71 and now it's 60.
Oh, so it went down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it went down, okay.
Down from 24 to 20, or 2024 to 2025 slightly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Has the memorial account been
No, because there's still, there's rules on using the memorial account, and that may involve contacting people who have made those memorials if they're specific to something to be used for something else.
Do you know how much is in there?
Do you have a number, Doris, for
I'm
in the
sorry?
memorial account? Is a memorial account?
I believe there's like 13,000.
So 13,000, and I don't know if where we are on knowing exactly how many people need to be contacted or means to contact them about altering how the money is used and whether assistance could be used in that regard as well. So 13,000 is the number there, yeah.
What could we do with the biggest asset we have, which is the building that sits empty basically all week long? I saw daycare pop up, which I think is a great solution for an income flow. I just don't know what steps you've taken, or
Right.
who's leading you, is the church helping you find people that could use the building?
Yeah, well, that is certainly a big opportunity. There has been things like that in the past, and it's something that we are trying to work on with people in the conference. someone had made some efforts to maybe even tie in another church, and that hasn't totally come to fruition. And there aren't necessarily good candidates for that right now. It certainly is an area that the idea of having people in here as an income source is a great idea, but it's a matter of finding that right person and making it work. So it is a long-term opportunity, and it's something that's being.
And you said at this time, we were not gonna be allowed to sell this to the other church.
Correct.
Do we need to investigate that, or is
I don't
it
even,
just like impossible?
I'm not sure how to answer that.
Okay, that's okay.
This is why Michelle's here.
Yeah.
Michelle can speak on behalf of the conference and the cabinet.
Do we go there now? Or?
Should we move in that direction?
Sorry.
No, that's okay. There's
Judy
another
had-
question
Judy
here.
had another question.
What do you want to ask?
Oh, I wanted to know how much more we need. I hear.
How much more we need? Well, for the year of 2025, for all of 2025, we'd be $42,000 in the red.
That much more next year. Plus, how much?
Well, it's roughly $6,000 a month, right? So that's $72,000 a year for easy back of the napkin math.
Increases in pledging or more pledging from non-pledgers would assist with that. I think the non-pledge total, I think, was down significantly, if I remember right. So that's one that kind of, and how much you count, well, you certainly do count on the non-pledge donations, and then that number has just been coming in much lower than anticipated. So, any other question? No. Any otherwise, do we bring in Michelle to answer some of those questions about the building? Yes. Okay. We appreciate that you're here, Michelle.
Sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Can I say something? Sometimes, you know, I've been coming here to this church, and I came here because I knew some of the people in the senior chorus in Lakeville, and they were such good people. So many people since I've been here are not here anymore. So there's a small nucleus who is trying to support us all, and it's tough. And it's so sad for me to see 40 people at church when we used to fill the benches.
Yeah, that
Not only
kind of hits the nail on the head as far as fewer number of people trying to support the whole congregation, so that's.
All of our expenses go up, and I live in a senior building. It's amazing. It costs me more to live there than it did to own my property of 3 acres. Yeah.
Joel?
Before we get into the conference thing, I wanted to bring up a question about the parking.
Okay.
So, and I apologize if I haven't read fully, I know Pastor Van explained it, but, is the intent for towing, which you have to do, I totally get it. But we should not, in my opinion, we should not be towing during the service. In other words, the time to catch them, the people that are parking in the wrong spot is that night before, when they're parking in the wrong spot because they're either over here or they're going to the park, whatever. I really want to make sure that we don't have, whatever it be, a special event or a service, that we're not going to have people coming to our event and walk out the door and see their cars gone, because that would not be a good thing. People will leave this incident if that happens. So,
I can speak to this. I've been the one working with Spirit of Truth mostly to try to sort this out. Just so you understand, Ray, I'm going to point you out, Ray. Thank you, Ray, for all the hard work that you did.
absolutely.
When it came to the coordination of the overlook being built on this property, or excuse me, on the property that they bought from us, And then our church and the conversations that went into parking lot easement agreements, which are legally binding documents. If you don't know what an easement agreement is, and I didn't until I got to this church, and I never want to learn about it again. It has been 3 years of major struggle when it comes to learning about how that easement agreement doesn't function for either of our institutions. And unfortunately, it's been to the benefit of the Overlook recently, like for the last couple of years. Now, it doesn't really affect Grace that much because, you know, we are who we are. We have a smaller community. We get prime parking when we come in, even when the Overlook residents were parking in our spots. But guess who gets affected all the time?
That's what.
Spirit of truth, right? So what we've had to do is we've had to come up with the next step. This may not be the very final step, but it is the next step, which is we have to start enforcing towing now on Sunday mornings and on special event days for Overlook folks. But to your point, Joel, yes, we have it set up in place with the towing company that the towing will happen between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. So that they will come in, so which is why for us, right, worshiping at 10, most guests and visitors are not going to show up an hour early, and if they do, kudos to them.
Well, if you've got your lanyard, you're fine.
Right.
I was more concerned about, you got guests, you got people coming for a baptism.
Yep.
You're not gonna have the lanyard, and now you've got a parent or a grandparent that shows up for a thing. I just wanna make sure there's a time, that's all I want.
Yep, there's a time window, and we're going to, we are continuing by, I mean, Spirit of Truth and us, working with Alyssa over there at the.
That was the one point that I don't think you said in the service, which is fine, I
Yeah.
just wanna make sure that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
It's going to get a little bumpy, right?
Okay,
But we're going to try to mitigate unintended towing.
right.
And we don't want somebody breaking into the service saying, you just towed my car.
I know. Again,
Yeah.
I feel like we need a whole other town hall on the parking lot.
That was
I think
good.
we do.
That's all
But
I
yes,
wanted to know.
we're gonna try to blast out a communication to all the Grace folks. It just comes down to, once again, we have to own some of our responsibility. If we know people are coming in to be a part of our service, like for a baptism,
Yeah.
you have to let them know where they can and cannot park. Pay attention to the
Yeah.
signs that say church parking or whatever. There is some accountability on our end, there's accountability on the Overlook, and there's accountability on Spirit of Truth, and that's what we were trying to go for.
Got it.
All right.
Thank you.
And we did put notices on the cars that were parked in our spots this morning saying if they were there next week.
Yes, we've been informing for the last 2 weeks, every Overlook car during the week, and this Sunday was a big one, to make sure that they know towing is gonna be enforced starting next Sunday.
Good, perfect.
Were there a lot of cars, James? No. Okay.
Maybe 4.
All right.
Well, good morning. I'm Michelle Hargrave, and I'm your district superintendent, conference superintendent, and I've been working with you for just about 3 years now. And so when I look at this, I just want to say my heart is heavy because I hear your pain and I hear your anger and your frustration. And I'm amazed at how much of my work is holding the grief of the church. I hear your story. No, is it Addie? Addie. Okay. I know your fabulous cookies. I heard about those today. So Addie, you named the grief that so many of our churches are feeling. We used to have our pews full, and now they aren't. And how do we continue as church? I mean, so that's my work, is to work with, I have 75 churches. Most of them are having conversations somewhat like this. Pretty much everybody, most everybody, is having a conversation about what are our assets, how long do we have, how do we use our building, how much pastor can we afford? And I have those conversations with them all the time. Here at Grace, I know that just about 3 years ago, we were working with Susan Nienaber from the conference to have a conversation about what might be next. And I sat in on some of that. I came this summer to talk to leadership. I've sent Erica Kozer here. She'll be working with you. Every December in my work, I call Pastor Amanda, like right before Christmas, and I meet with the SPRC. and say, can we afford a full-time pastor for that next season? Now, we're looking 18 months out when we're making that decision in December. And so I have a list in my bag of every time I made those phone calls. So in 2023, the conference supported your church for 8 weeks while Pastor Amanda was recovering from her concussion, and the conference paid for your pulpit supply and the pastors coming in. And then I met with SPR, to help support that. But then also came in and said, can we afford this full-time position for the next, that would have been 24 to 25. And we decided yes. And then I worked with leadership last year when Pastor Amanda needed to step back to part-time for a while so that we could keep her full-time here and work with the ministry, so we did that. And then last December, again, maybe November last year, met with the leadership, said, are we going to try to keep a full-time position through basically June 2026? And we made the decision yes. And now we're looking at the numbers and that looks difficult. So I'm sorry that we didn't make a different decision a year ago, but that's how far out these decisions are, and that's why, one reason that it is so hard. So many churches are having these conversations, and normally if you're looking at the kind of shortfall that you are looking at, the first thing that you do is shift to three-quarter time, half-time, or quarter-time pastoral position. That's a normal response for most churches. So you guys got super creative and came up with a completely different option. And so I want to try to explain. I hear your anger and frustration, and when I first got the email about this, I thought, oh, I can see how this would feel like it just is going to answer your questions, solve your problems. But there's some problems with it. I wonder if you can hand this out. So this is the boring part. I know the Vikings are on in a couple minutes, so I'll try to move through this. Well, I can see all the t-shirts. Yeah, I have a schedule of the Vikings. I have to try and schedule all my meetings around it. So. Roy, you mentioned this, the trust clause in the United Methodist Church. It's a very odd property piece that we have. It's been set up from the very beginning of the Methodist movement. And what it means is that every time we start a Methodist church, United Methodist Church, you started in 1959, when you start that church, automatically, even whether you got it into your paperwork or not, there is something called the trust clause. And the trust clause means this first paragraph. Basically, it means that all the assets of the church are designed for the ministry of Jesus Christ in the expression of the United Methodist Church. Everything. And so it's not, we aren't congregational, so that each congregation doesn't actually own the building. And it's easy to forget about that little piece until you get to a moment like this. Officially, it says, all properties of the United Methodist local churches and agencies and institutions are held in trust for the benefit of the entire denomination. And ownership and usage of the church property is subject to the discipline. So if it's subject to the discipline, then I put in some of the relevant pieces below on what that means. Your church is unincorporated, so I'm including that paragraph number here. The sale, transfer, lease, or mortgage. And I checked with our chancellor, and he said that a lease to own is kind of like a reverse mortgage, but it will qualify as a mortgage and a sale. So we have to look at 2540, and I think in 2543 as we, I know these are boring, but this is my job, is to work with these paragraphs. And so the way that, in order to sell a piece of property, several things have to happen. I think of it as there needs to be 4 yeses to be able to sell property. One yes is you, and that's a charge conference. So you have to, there's rules about how long you have to announce it and how you do the meeting. I have to give permission to have the meeting, and then you can have, and so that's your one yes to be able to sell this property or lease it or whatever happens to it. The pastor is the second yes. You cannot make a change without the pastor's yes. I'm the third yes. You cannot sell the property or lease it. I say yes. And there's a little bit in here I did highlight. Certification by the district superintendent shall be conclusive evidence that the transfer or encumbrance conforms to the discipline. So that means that when a sale happens, I'm responsible for making sure that this process was followed. That's just my job. So that makes me the enemy today, but that's my job. Well, maybe the end. I'm here with you on this though. The fourth piece that should happen in this is the district board of church building and location. So as I was putting this together, I thought, I just stopped with my no. And I figure if you need 4 yeses, and it's not mine, it's the cabinet, as bishop and me, but I'm responsible for the mission of the district. I'm responsible for the ways that we use our properties. And I, just like this congregation, you have decided twice to build here. Twice that this is a beautiful spot and a really great location. And I think that for the good of the district, it's not time to let go of it yet. So, and the cabinet and the bishop are very much in agreement with that. So I was feeling like, okay, if I'm saying no, then you can't go ahead because there's the no, and you need 4 yeses. But as I was reading through this on Friday night, because that's what I do as a superintendent, I spent my Friday night reading all the paragraphs that the bishop and the lawyer recommended I had to read before I came to talk to you. I had an assignment. I realized District Board of Church Building and Location. I have a wonderful District Board of Church Building and Location. And I thought I need to talk to them. So I called the leader of that on Friday night. He was on vacation in South Carolina. And I said, oh, you don't want to talk to me on vacation. He said, no, let's talk. He was a child in this church. He grew up in this church. So he knows you. And so I told him the story. And I said, I skipped that step. And I just wonder if we need to have you be part of the conversation. Now, I'm not saying to you that I think the cabinet is going to agree to the sale that you have arranged, but I think we move too fast. And I want to get the district, there's several things that need to happen. And so I want to bring the District Board of Church Building and Location, which is led by Mark Miller, who was a child in this church. He's a few years older than me, so he left when he was 12 because they went to confirmation at River Hills. Before that, then he was here, so he's very familiar with the property. He's a former district superintendent, so he's just really helpful in these matters, and really just understands the call of how our churches are called to serve Jesus Christ in our communities. So I'd like to take a step back and pull them into this conversation before we say any final thing. So that's one thing I want to do. Now, another piece that I need to let you know on this page of very boring things is the restriction of proceeds of a mortgage or sale. This is another weird thing about the United Methodist Church. When you sell a United Methodist property, and in this case the lease is still the same as the sale, all the money that is involved in that has to be used for capital expense. So that means that if this went through, not one penny that came from Spirit of Truth could be used to pay your pastor or the light bills. It can only be used for capital expenses. So you could use it to put it in a new HVAC, but that's it. I mean, that's not solve that $40,000 loss that you got this year. It feels like it will, but it isn't, because that's not what the money can be used for. And the Book of Discipline is absolutely clear about that, and you can't do it unless there's a whole big fancy plan and the cabinet approves it. So the Book of Discipline has kind of hemmed you in a few ways. But I think it's important that we do everything that we can, because I hear this, and I feel it too. I can hear all of this. And I mean, what a beautiful church you are. I can see that. So 3 things that I want to have happen. I'm as soon as Mark is back from vacation, I'm gonna put him in touch with you, and we're gonna start a conversation with the district board on church building. They have their eyes on the properties of the churches. They're responsible, along with me, for the mission of the United Methodist Church and the properties of our district. And anytime you sell or make any kind of changes in your property, even a remodel, you had to deal with them when you sold that property. You had to deal with them when you built this building 20 years ago. You had to deal with them in 1959 when you started here. So we'll pull them into the conversation. The second piece is Erica Kozer is going to be working with you. I think it'll be a more practical process than the one that Susan Nienaber was doing. Very practical about, how do you move forward? We call it, it's another book of discipline number, but, so she's met some of the leadership already, and I've asked her to do this process, and so she'll be working on that with you. The third piece is I'll be working with your SPRC. I have a meeting with them in about 10 days to talk about what we do with the pastoral position, because that's clearly one of the, if you're $40,000, so we're gonna have to do something. We hate making changes mid-year, I'll tell you that. We really hate that, because our commitment to our elders is that we will keep them paid full-time, year by year. So Amanda may be feeling that pretty deep in her gut, but the cabinet is responsible for making sure that we figure that out. And I don't know what that looks like, but so I'm a partner with her in that piece, and a partner with the church in working with SBR to say, well, what can they actually afford? What's actually going to work, and when might we come to that? So those are the three pieces that I think I'd like to institute right now. So I'd like to halt on the big no and say, let's take a breath, take a step back, and bring some more people into the conversation from the district and the conference. Doris?
In working with budgets, if we were to take what we pay the current pastor by a third, spit into the budget to see where numbers would come out, or 50%, is that how we would take a look at it?
About. The percentages are about, but sometimes with the pensions and things, it's a little bit. It tweaks a little bit, and it depends on health insurance.
Close enough for 5%, 10%?
So, say that again.
I said, you think it would be close enough, or would you recommend adding, say, 5% or 10% extra on top of it? So if we took what we currently pay the pastor, divided it by 50, say we were gonna go down to 50%.
Well, I can give you exact numbers, like as soon as I get to my computer.
Okay, I'm just thinking something that we punch into our budget to get our budget.
Yep, so when I meet with SBR, I'll bring exact, like, okay, 3/4 time is this much, half time is this much, quarter time is this much. That's
perfect.
I work with that spreadsheet, that Excel spreadsheet every day. Yeah. I don't know the numbers exactly. It's kind of 20,000 for each increment, but not quite, because it's health insurance and
Right. So close enough to kind of give us an idea of where we would end up in our budget.
Right. Okay. Right. So when I hear your $40,000 off, that's about a half time, just about position, just about. Okay.
Do you have a description of what a half-time pastor looks like?
Yeah. I know that.
Michelle, do you want to use this? Do you want me to write on this?
Sure. I like to think about ministry in I like that better, in quarters. So, like if it's full-time, full-time is about 85,000 right now. Well, and your church mutual, every church, church mutual and insurance bills are terrible. That's not just for you, that's across the board. And I know that insurance is tough for us altogether. So full-time, around 85-ish for this last year. And for that, you get Sunday morning pastoral care, probably a Bible study, leadership development, and community outreach. and probably some vision work. Something like that. So if it's 3/4 time, and full-time for clergy is not 40 hours, it's probably 48 hours. 45, 48. 3/4 time, would that be 36 hours-ish? And so you get Sunday, pastoral care, probably some discipleship, Bible study, and you'd probably pick, do you want leadership development, community outreach, you know, or visioning for the future? You'd pick one or two, and that would be SPRC working with the pastor to say this is the piece that we're gonna have. And that'll be 60-ish thousand. I mean, that's big, I'm off by a few thousand there. Halftime, you get Sunday morning and pastoral care. And then probably discipleship. I mean, you always get, you know, like your meetings, right? You have to go to meetings. And I mean, maybe here you can pick one or two, and here you might be able to pick one. Does that make sense? Plus one of this. Maybe here you can pick two, depending. This will be closer to maybe 45,000. And then, sorry, this isn't very neat. Quarter time, you get Sunday, pastoral care, your necessary meetings, and maybe just a tiny bit more of something else. And that's probably about 20,000. Off by a couple thousand, something like that. Does that make sense? So what you have with Pastor Amanda being full-time, absolutely, you recognize that it's that larger vision thinking, it's the creative work of the Monday, Thursday event, which I was here at that with the bishop in this room, sitting right over here. You know, so those kinds of things, the any kind of work in the community, our visioning work, that's sort of that extra piece that usually is the piece that comes with full-time, and some of those pieces fall away with full-time, and then as you move down, you have fewer services. The way I usually work with churches is I go to a church, try to figure out how much can you afford, and then work to try to find you a pastor that works within that. It's much harder to do that in the middle of the year, and that's a little. We used to have money in the conference to prop churches up in those seasons, and we just have stripped our budget, so we don't have that anymore either. Other questions?
So if you go, let's just say we say, okay, you're saying it's about 40,000. Is that the amount that you're thinking we're totally short every year? Or, do you know what I'm saying? And but we still need another cushion on something else to be able to.
You know, it would be tight. I mean, so when I'm looking at your 40,000 off, you can't afford a full-time pastor.
Right.
That's the first thing. Right. But it would be
It's
tight.
not like if we say, okay, we want a pastor half-time, that solves our problem. And I wanted to make that clear.
Sure.
Because the numbers don't say that.
Right, it doesn't, because, you know, I mean, I hear, you know, maybe 5,000 over here, but insurance is raised over here, and I know when the HVAC goes, that you're in trouble. I mean, it's so, you know, there's those bigger pieces. Yeah, sir?
How many of the churches in this district do you believe do a good job of welcoming visitors? Because I'm concerned that we have not done a very good job of that here. I see new people every once in a while, and then I don't see them again. How do you think the churches are doing at that?
Well, there's a great variety of that. When I came in this morning, I got here early, because I thought church was at 9:30, so I snuck in early. And then went out to put a thingy in my car and came back in. And when I came back in the second time, I was greeted by, I'd say, 5 different people. That's pretty good. And I might have had I didn't have my name tag out because I didn't remember where it was. So I don't know if you knew who I was, but you know, so it was pretty good. But yeah, absolutely, welcome is one of those pieces. I have 75 churches, 25 of them worship less than 25 people on Sunday morning.
Say that again.
I have 75 churches in this district, 25 of my churches have fewer than 25 people in them on Sunday morning. They're not full-time churches, they're quarter time, most of those. Yeah?
Adding to what Bill mentioned, when I moved up in Farmington, and I had there must have been 14 months. Not one person stopped and talked to us. We had a trophy baby to talk to, right? We had a Warren. Right? So the next Sunday, we came here, and probably Oliver Brian Ferguson was at the door. He remembered my name. We had donuts and coffee, you know, Friday mornings or whatever, so this is now moved to Cracker Barrel or whatever. But Bill's point, as far as welcoming and remembering names, and then life story here, when we were in turmoil before the fire, we jumped over for children primarily, and disagreements with the pastor and how politics work within organizations and so forth. But the first time I went there, my 4-year-old at the time came bounding. I'm in the Christmas program. I'm in the Christmas program, right? So the spreadsheet here about expenses tells you where you're spending your money. It also tells you where you're not spending your money. In children's programs, in adult discipleship training, we're a Sunday congregation. And I feel bad for Bob and Joey, because I don't know if you've been here 2 years now, right?
Almost 4.
4 years, the amount of effort that you guys put into your evening programs and try to get small groups established, those are where relationships are formed as well, right? And again, I'm not a member here because I went to Crossroads uptown, and that one was a church plant with one of our former worship leaders at Crossroads or whatever. And we went through 3 pastors there in a big building, which was it was a boat anchor, that building that we were in on 31st and whatever the E Streets are in uptown, right? And we moved into another space or whatever. We are very good at managing downwards, which is exactly what's on the board right there. We're trying to make our expenses fit into what we have now. What we're not looking at is how do we increase the income side of that thing, right? So far we've been looking at expenses, that's all fine and dandy. We gotta do that as disciples, good stewards of our money, right? What we're not looking at is investment. So, what have we done to encourage investment? I think the congregation responded very well to the second blessing challenge, right? We paid for Dan in less than a month, but we got him for 2 years. Have we done a third blessing for a full-time pastor? Have we done those things? Have we done dialing for dollars? At Crossroads, I know we were in a financial, I was the finance chair, I was the leadership team chair for 4 years on that, and we put a challenge out to the congregation. We had a $40,000 Sunday. People sold assets. They sold their car that they hadn't started in 5 years and put it in a plate on a Sunday. So it's possible. It's very possible. And so far, we're managing downwards. And I want to say that it is possible to manage upwards. If you set your expectations low, guess what? That's what you're going to do.
Thank you. I also want to say that I in my churches, whether they are one of those that are worshiping less than 25, or whether it's this size, or whether it's larger, is that, and I said this summer, it's the way that you're blessing the community that generates some of that energy and some of that growth. And so, I keep challenging you. How are you blessing your neighbors? How are you growing in love of neighbor in this place? That's the piece of discipleship that really makes a difference. Is it Bill or Bob?
I was just going to say one more thing on the welcoming. We should have a sign out front that says, "A warm welcome to our church," or like that. And possibly some, a little brochure about the church. Something that the pastor or anybody who knows the church could write up.
Are there other questions? Yes?
So, I know you introduced a new piece this morning by saying, I didn't reach out to this fourth place, but let's assume that didn't happen. And many signs to the fact that we're not going to make it. If we don't make it, the request to lease to buy the building was rejected by, and it was, it came from someone who's already part of our church. What is the vision for what happens to this building?
Well, I'm not coming to you with a specific, we wanna do this, and so that's why we're saying no. But the cabinet is saying, we're not ready to let go of this place yet. Why? Because because it's an amazing, beautiful property.
Well, for years, we were told, how do you expect to grow in such a remote location? And it was like, you're the redneck stepchild. How do you expect to grow? You're not in a neighborhood. Well, now all of a sudden, it's a real important piece of real estate. Seems like things are not quite lined up.
I do think that there's a shift in the way that conference is responding to different church situations, because like the churches, the conference is also in a place where we've cut the budget and we're looking really carefully at our mission and how we're responding to our opportunities right now. Different bishop, it does change from time to time. So I'm sorry that you were treated like that, treated badly. And I understand that. I was a pastor, was always told I wasn't going to my church enough, and I got tired of that.
Well, it's just, we have always, this location is so beautiful.
It is so beautiful.
We have the outdoor worship place. I mean, it's just,
It is
so many
amazing.
wonderful things.
It is amazing. And so I'm not ready to give it up. And I know that it feels like it solves your problem. I'm worried that it actually won't solve your problem. But then also, my job is to protect the gifts that have been given over the generations for the ministry of Jesus Christ in the United Methodist Church. And we lose this here when we do
So
that.
what's happened with the building sites of other churches who have folded? What does
It's a variety. It's a variety of things. If the buildings can be sold, and then the trustees, you're on the trustees, they manage the income from that, but there's a variety of places that.
Have any of them been successful?
Successful in what?
Well, if the church closes, have any of the churches, when the conference is taken care of them, have they been successful in turning it around or doing something of worth with it?
Well, we've had a couple of interesting places where churches have given their buildings to other United Methodist churches. And that has been successful a couple of times in the last few years. But a restart, I'd have to think about that. I'm not sure. That'll be a question for Erica.
But it sounds like there probably aren't many.
Not many, no.
Okay.
I was brought up in the Methodist church. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I realized that we did not own this building, and none of the Methodist churches. And I feel betrayed on that because I grew up in the church and didn't know it. And now we might close our door in January. And I feel that the conference feels that this building is more important than the people that make up this congregation. And I'm very angry about that. And I also have to say that if this church closes, I will never attend another Methodist church for the simple reason that at least I'm going to go to a church that owns their own building, so we have our own we can make our own decisions. We have a great relationship with the Spirit of Truth Church, and I believe that as an outreach mission, that these two churches could make a wonderful, wonderful addition to Burnsville. And I think you were short-sighted in not realizing that. And if we go, the Spirit of Truth will probably go. And you're going to be sitting here with an empty building. Because I'm not sure we can keep the doors open next year. And you're going to have a building here that is valuable to you, not valuable to us. And what are you going to do with that building as it sits here empty? You'll have to pay the heating, the cooling, the water, the electricity, the insurance. We pay all that now. I'm very angry about the whole situation and the fact that you said no, that this building was more important to the conference than the people in the congregation. I will never get over that letter stating that at this time we cannot let go of the building. We cannot let go of the building. We don't care what happens to you as a congregation. Go figure it out for yourselves.
Well, I'm glad that you've pointed out that that's how it feels, because I did not say that.
In the letter it did. It says, at this present time, we do not want to let the building go. You didn't address the congregation. It was more important for you to keep the building. That's what I'm so angry about.
Okay.
You value this church empty more than you do the people that are here. I think given the time that we could have turned this church around, it takes time. Since COVID, there was nothing going on at this church when I first come here. Nothing, because it had all been closed down because of COVID. We have Bible study now, we have mission programs, we have crafts and fall festival and a whole lot of other things that we've started. And sure, it takes time, but given the time, we could, but we can't do it if we can't sell the building. We can afford to rent here. It's very possible. We're not sure we can even afford a fork contest. If we can't do that, we aren't staying open. At the most, we might make it if we're lucky.
I've been in declining churches my whole life. We have a very strong group of lay people in this church, and even if we have people that can step up and be like pastor, we can still be congregation. The thing that bothers me though is our church, this congregation paid for the original church. It burned down, they paid for the second one, and when the decline and other political things happened that caused the decline in this church, they sold property to pay off our mortgage. We still don't own our church. We paid for it twice, and we don't own it. That's what bothers me.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Does the conference have any financial assets to help us out? Period. If we're empty church, the conference will have to pay for us. Utilities,
Yes,
water,
the trustees
et
do
cetera,
struggle with
et
that,
cetera.
yeah.
So what does the conference have financially that can help us?
We don't have funds to make up this kind of difference anymore.
I have a question, right? Do you have people that can help find people to like run the building? Like, you're seeing declines of churches all over Are you building strengths to try to help people use their buildings better? Because that could be a better answer than we need more people in this building and we need to use the space in this building better when we don't even need to use it. Are there people that can help from your line, find us people or help people?
And that's part of the work that Erica does,
Okay.
is, she's working with different organizations to see about,
I think
ways that
that's
we
a
can do
good,
that.
good place to look, I really do.
You mentioned that you've got 25 churches that have 25 members attending at a week or less. Is there any possibility of getting another congregation to join the this Methodist church? And there's 25 of them out there. There's got to be at least one.
Right. I think it's mostly,
There's a building that drive by.
further away, but I can look at that. I mean, we can look at that. Well, see, that's part of what the district, the district board, pulling them into the conversation will sift through some of these other pieces, I think. You in the back?
Yes, I understand the church is a non-government funded organization, but is it possible to get involved in other programs that will make or will help the government to support the church? Like probably some emo service like child care, and because if you get involved in child care or something, and you have a planning group, like financial group, they can budget that, okay, this is going to child care, this is going to the support of the church. You decide how to, but when it comes to you, they spread it out. And then you have more people coming, you have young people coming, because you bring in very young people, and other young people who see it, they're looking for all around to come in.
Having a daycare here would have tons of benefits. We need more families in the church. If we have a daycare here, those families are very drawn to the building that their children spend time in all week long.
We used to have a daycare here. And it's not profitable. It didn't bring any members. I mean, we tried and it's been at least, I can't remember when they left, but it's been at least 10 years.
No rent for using that.
I was never aware of
They
it.
were, but it's still not enough. Well, because you take the income from them and then you've got their additional expenses.
Well, if you determine the rent, there's that.
So, but that's why, past experience, it did not go well. And we were expecting to get more members because of the daycare, and that was not an answer.
Then another thing to is to create something like a trap, THIRFT, where people bring in bringing some more clothes, some shoes, $5, $3, and then that fund can be used to also fund the church. Because the thing is, been Methodist church before coming to Brownsville, and these are some of the things they going down and for daycare and all the programs that are bringing money. It may not be much, but we're bringing something.
I mean, what I'm hearing is that you're just not done, you're not ready to be done being a church. Yeah. And this is this is a particular church that you've gone through a lot in the last 65, 70 years. Had a fire and had to rebuild, and that's in recent memory. I remember that. Well, I'm kind of old, but yeah, right, that's a lot to go through.
Beginning with the fact that we had all women who started this church in a time when that was not an easy thing to overcome or to.
So, yeah. Right, so a lot of wonderful pieces of your history. So I'd like to pause on my part of the process and step back and bring in the district board to have some of this conversation with you. I'll be working with your SBR on this piece. And Eric Kozer will be working with you on some of these other questions that you have as well.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Are we, now, if another church, another Methodist church, if they would become involved with smaller church, blah, 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 they would be part of our actual church though, right? It wouldn't be, if they would.
Well, there's
Spirit
different-
of Truth Church
Right.
and kick them out. I don't want that to happen. I mean, it would be-
Well, I mean, there's just lots of different models. Yeah.
It would be nice to have merging and we would meet together.
Sometimes the merging works perfectly, and sometimes it's a lot of tension, but sometimes that can work well. We have been getting more creative with our models.
Your job is not easy.
Anything else?
Just ready for the handoff if we've had the questions needed to be fielded by you.
I have one little confusion, which has come up 2 or 3 times, so, but can you give it a concise reason why the Spirit of Truth is not allowed to buy this building?
We're gonna back up and bring in some, another group to have that conversation with you before saying, before completing that vote. So I did say no on behalf of the cabinet. I'm just gonna back up a bit. And the district board is another conversation partner, because as I was looking at the process, if there was 4 different parts that need to be part of all 4 parts have to agree to do it. And it's a very unusual model, so, it just kind of makes everybody a little nervous, because it's very unusual. So but the pastor has to agree, you have to agree, I have to agree, and the district board has to agree. And so I want to make sure that we get voice in here, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Thank you for reconsidering your, continuing to take in and listen. I mean, yes.
One last quick question. The reason for listing that, I think, is none of us wants to bring up 100% of a pastor.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a time bomb on that passage.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, these things are all going at the same time.
At least, are we committed to June at least, or we're in such?
Well, you're committed, but I don't know if the money is there. Yeah, that's something that
We
I think
have
both,
something we need to resolve.
we have to Amanda and I a little nervous.
Yeah, certainly part of the current stewardship, or Mitch brought up the idea of a third blessing or what have you. These are great put up. Enthusiasm to find solutions seems to be pretty evident. Did you have something else you wanted to ask or say?
Yeah, I was wondering, this question for Doris, how much giving for churches, in my experience, has always been, there's always a hockey stick effect at the end of the year. November, December are heavy giving months compared to summer, where everything flattens out to your savings account dwindles in the summer. But then toward the end of the year, it picks up. Enthusiasm, less sports, less winter activities, less cabin activity, whatever. Does Grace experience a hockey stick of some sort in November, December? That should give people hope, but we also need to accelerate that hockey stick, right? So with this particular group, would a third blessing be receptive?
Well, that's something to discuss. I don't know, we're taking a vote in here right now, just a casual.
I'm just trying to get a pulse, because if you're not in the game at this point, this should bring people to reality.
Yep.
It should also set your priorities before budget time. It should also affect your Christmas spending on cookies and things like that, because people budget, right? I budget. But I also know how much I spend on cell phone bills versus how much I put in the plate on Sunday, and how much I see Caribou Coffee or Starbucks or whatever. Previous church, a very senior member of our church said, hey, here's a challenge, instead of spending $5 a day. And that actually made it by buying coffee
right in it that we will need at least 40 given units to increase their monthly contributions by $150. Without a binding vote or what have you, but who sees that or listens to what we've just heard today and feels like they have the ability to dig a little deeper? Do we have that feeling in the room?
Well,
by a non-binding show of hands? That was kind of a lukewarm response.
I would say, David, in response to you, I would say the third blessing. I mean, this is the key to that, is how people pledge. And when it comes in.
Yeah, it's a little bit longer term, but we got a short-term issue right now.
Well, we're talking about November 9th.
Yeah.
It's due. I think this is where the rubber meets the road here, right? When people
Well,
respond to the pledge.
It's in this letter that was sent out that the idea of the number of giving units that need to increase, which of course is each individual to decide if they're one of them, but that type of effort would certainly go an incredible long way toward the commitment to Pastor Amanda through the middle of next year. And long-term decisions, you know, hard to, I mean, even one long-term decision has been modified a little bit here today with the idea of revisiting the overall question of spirit and truth. So it's, you know, the long-term things are long-term and become a bit flexible.
One thing that maybe we can all do on this, you know, see a couple times, which makes us know that they probably didn't go out and find a new congregation when they cease to come here on a regular basis. There's any of those people that are in our lives to go and say, this is a really important time. I don't know who's still getting, you know, emails, letters, who's still on the rolls, who's not. But if there's anybody, just not even, just say, are you aware of what's going on? Is this something you want to help save?
And with the idea that there is a lot of encouragement here, encouraging words and desire to keep it going.
Yes. So this is where it comes down. This is where the rubber meets the road. And I think, Mitch, you landed on this. It's going to take you, Grace Church, not me, Pastor Amanda, Grace Church. I'm part of you, but I am not what holds this church. You hold this church. You are the body of Christ here in this place in this time. So the thing that we're going to need is a buy-in, skin in the game. We've been trying to say this for 4 years. The leadership has been trying to say this for 4 years. The time is to step up now. It's not just opinions, it's not just ideas. If there is no skin in the game with action, making those phone calls to those people, coming in and helping clean up the roles and the membership, right? Giving of your time to do those things so that we can progressively work towards a better vision of who we want to be, right? Short-term big crisis that we have is the next thing that has happened, right? So who's going to make those calls? Who's going to clean up the list so we know who to call? Who's going to volunteer their time to come in and stuff envelopes and put, you know, stamps on those envelopes and put them in the mail? Who's going to speak in front of the congregation? That's not Pastor Amanda, because you're the church. So it's your turn now. It's your time now. I believe you, but you have to believe in yourself, and that's what I'm here to say as your pastor now. My heart hurts because of what, okay? My heart hurts, not for me, not just for me, for you and for the community that damn deserves to know you exist, okay? You're a loving people. This community needs to know you're here, and they need to be loved on by you the way you've loved on me through my crisis. It's powerful. You have power. You can help change this situation. So what we need from you, from the board, from myself, I need your names and I need your commitment. I'm throwing the gauntlet down, guys. I need your time. You need to give of your time. So I want your name, I want your phone number, and I want your email. If you want to show up and be a part of figuring out how can we figure out how many memorials we have that we can release those funds, right? There's going to be very tangible things to do, the to-do list.
Right? You can always call out.
I know, Marlis, you're right there. You love Marlis for that, right? But you're the one showing up, but who's not here today? How are you going to inspire them to put their name on this list and to show up as the church. If we don't do this, then we are tired. Then it means we're just tired. And then it means we make the choice of legacy. And that's okay if that's truly where you're at. But like Michelle said, I don't think that's where you're at. But now we're at a tipping point. It's now or never. So this is my motivational Rocky on the steps in Philadelphia speech to you all, okay? I'm up here going, woo, okay? But I don't want to stand up here by myself going, woo! I need you up. I need you up on these stairs with me. So before you leave, please write your name, your number, your email, and what you're interested in wanting to do to help solve this. I will tell you right now, Doris Merrick, thank you for 40 years of doing finances. I don't want you to do it anymore. I love you. You need a break. You're tired. Doris is tired. We need people to show up to the financial side of this and take ownership of it. Sorry, I might be speaking out of turn, Doris, but I'm feeling the Holy Spirit right now, so I'm just going to do it. So if you are interested in sitting on finance, stewardship, that kind of team, write that down. If you want to make calls for trying to release memorial funds, write that down. Just give me a memo on this piece of paper so I know where you're committed.
Trustee.
And trustee, oh, that's the other main thing. Thank you. Dale is done. Dale has resigned. We have nobody overseeing this building except Steve Zanter. Where are you? Steve is our lone trustee, and he's not the chair. We need folks to say, I'm interested in helping figure out how to manage this building. Even if you don't have any building management, it doesn't matter. Can you ask curiosity questions to find out who do I need to call to get someone in to look at this, or can I find a friend or a neighbor who knows how to do plumbing and come in and show us how to do it, and then we do it ourselves. It's just more about, can you be curious enough to ask the question to figure it out so we can do it. But we need trustee people. We need people to own and care for this building. Because right now, as of Dale's resignation, we have nobody. And we have to take care of this beautiful property if we're going to do something with it. So, be specific. What do you want to do? How do you want to show up specifically? Thank you. Michelle, will you pray us out? I realize it is very late.
Gracious God, we give you thanks for this opportunity to share together. We're thankful for the story this morning of the widow who was, I always wonder about that widow giving that last little bit when her son was hungry. And this jerk comes along and says, feed me instead. It's a tough scripture. And we're facing a tough thing here, God. But you have been with this church for a long time, and we know that your love surrounds us here. So give us in your grace, send us forth in peace and hope, and comfort us as we ponder how to continue to share your love with one another and with the community around us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you.